There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, neither do I.
1, 2, 3, set, go!
Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Power Chord Hour podcast. As always, I'm your host, Anthony Merchant, welcoming you to another episode. And I guess according to Mark Hoppus, nobody's going to like us now, but hey, what the hell? We have a great episode for you on this one. If you're an Audio Karate fan, you are going to be very stoked. If you're not an Audio Karate fan, I don't know what's wrong with you, but keep listening anyways because you will be converted by the end of this episode. Because on this one, I am talking to Jason Camacho, guitarist of Audio Karate. And if you were listening to this the day that it comes out, June 1st, 2020, you were listening on the 16th anniversary of their sophomore record, Lady Melody, recorded by the legendary Bill Stevenson at the legendary Blasting Room, and my favorite Audio Karate record. I know they only have a couple, but this is my favorite. I love this record so much. It's just so different. I mean, we get into it, but it's one of those ones where it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a punk record in a lot of ways, but it's so much more than that, and it's very hard to pinpoint, everything or put like one label on it, I think. And I think that's part of what makes it so special and, why 16 years later we're still talking about it. And, we talk about that. We talk about their great new, new/old, I guess, because it was recorded back in the day when they still were around the first time. But Malo, which came out last year on Wiretap Records, really good stuff. We get into all of that. And, hey, you know what? I will tell you that later on after the interview, I may even have an unreleased Audio Karate B-side from Lady Melody to be sharing with you all, thanks to Jason. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a fan, get stoked for this episode because Jason was so fun to talk to. This is the second time on the show. I had him on back in 2018 on the radio show for our 100th episode. He was nice enough to come on and be our guest, which is also insane because right now, as far as the radio show goes, this is episode 23 of the podcast, but we're up to episode 192 of the radio show. And since I knew I was going to be having Jason on again, I was thinking about it. I'm like, shit, how did we have almost another 100 episodes since the last time he was on? That absolutely blows my mind. And, if you do want to hear that as well, I mean, if you're an Audio Karate fan, I got to say the last time we talked more, that was right after they reformed. And we talked a lot about Space Camp because they just released on vinyl. So, I mean, really, with that interview and this one, you can kind of listen through them. And it's cool because we've basically now gotten a rundown of all their records, So I don't know. It's kind of neat. So if you want to check that one out, that is our latest throwback episode from a few weeks ago. It's I don't know, 3 episodes back in the feed or whatever. You can definitely go find it. But yeah, this episode I love doing so much. I talked to him last week about this record, and I mean, just leading up to it, I was so excited. He was so much fun the first time we talked, and this time was even more fun, and we got to talk even longer, which was very, very cool. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot else because we have a ton right now about Audio Karate. So I mean, we'll get right into it. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Power Chord Hour. And, as always, thanks just for checking out the show and spreading the word. Tell all your punk friends to check this shit out. And right now we got Jason Camacho of Audio Karate talking Lady Melody and Malo and a whole lot more right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast. On the Power Chord Hour, we are talking to Audio Karate guitarist Jason Camacho. And 16 years ago, the band released the cult classic Lady Melody on June 1st, 2004 on Kung Fu Records. While the band did record more music after Lady Melody, it only finally saw the light of day last year on their new album Malo. And we're going to get into that, going to get into Lady Melody, talk all about Audio Karate. So let's get right into it. Jason, man, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, this is, it's crazy. I was thinking this earlier. It's insane that we had you on. It was 2 years ago, and Audio Karate just got back together. And I mean, I want to ask you, I mean, just even thinking back to the first time we talked, 2 years later, I mean, were you expecting all of this? You guys have played all these shows, you released music. Was any of that in the plan when you guys got back together 2 years ago?
No, completely not. And it's been very humbling how well we've been received back and some of the opportunities we've been given. We thought we'd do 2 or 3 local shows in LA and put out the record, and that'd kind of be that. and 2 trips to Fest, shows with Descendants, shows with Unwritten Law. I mean, we've been pretty fortunate, so it's cool. Having fun.
And then I also remember when we were talking, which it kind of blew my mind. I had a lot of respect for you because you said, you hadn't played guitar for quite a while in between. And I know you picked it back up for audio karate. Have you, outside of playing in the band again, have you picked up guitar much for fun? And I mean, also, getting back into it after that time not playing, do you feel like you're, I don't know, like the way you play, do you feel like that's changed at all? Like, have you picked anything up, picking the guitar back up after being absent for so long?
Well, whoever said playing guitar should be fun. It's like totally torturous. It's, it's a thing where I feel like, hey, wait a minute, I can't quite do that the way I used to. And it's just me constantly insecurely comparing myself to way better guitar players. But no, I've since been doing it a lot more, and I've recently got an acoustic guitar for my birthday, and I'm setting up a home studio again.
Oh,
like
nice.
I had around the time. Yeah, around the time for Malo. So hopefully we can, I don't know, maybe start writing and see if anything meaningful can come out of it.
That's pretty cool. Have you started building a studio yet or no? Because I'm thinking about it, it's crazy, but even in the short amount of time from when you guys had that studio before, I bet it's so much cheaper and easier now to do home recording like that. Like, I bet that stuff's only gotten easier and probably a lot more accessible too. Because what year did you guys do that first studio? Like 06?
Yeah, 05. We started buying stuff by 06. The studio was built and we had gear, and I was able to kind of track us and do some of the mixes and edits in earnest. The accessibility is crazy. It's just so much cheaper to get a Pro Tools rig up and running that, you can track at a quality that once it's sent to a real studio to get mixed, no one will know the difference. Maybe some, Andy Wallace or something could listen and go, oh, this guy recorded this in his bedroom. But I think most of what people are accustomed to listening to now is stuff that in some capacity is being done at home. Whereas when we were doing Space Camp and Lady Melody, I mean, we were doing those in real studios. I mean, Blasting Room, they've got the SSL console. They've got probably $500,000 to $1 million worth of gear.
And I love that stuff, but I mean, you're right. It's like, unless you're someone like an Andy Wallace or maybe like a Bill Stevenson or something, you're probably not going to know or even really care that, like, hey, yeah, we could make this like in our garage. Like, we can record this anywhere. I think most people don't realize that. And I don't think they mind either, No,
they don't. And even if you're Bill Stevenson, we were in a group text thread when we had finished Malo, and we're like, hey, we should send this to Bill. And we were all chicken shit and afraid to do so because we were concerned that he was going to listen to it and go, what is this shit? And not like it, right? So Art sent it to him, and then he sent like a screenshot of the text back, and Bill liked the record. So we were happy. So see, you can do an at-home record that that guys with ridiculous hearing and ridiculous audio talents could maybe be into.
Yeah, I give credit. I mean, I don't know that that's a pretty ballsy move, sending music to Bill. That's one where I feel like that would crush me if you didn't get back praise. So that's cool. It gets the Bill Stevenson seal of approval on that.
Dude, if no one else likes it, Bill does. Bill and his son Miles do. So that's kind of our target audience. Like, will Bill like this? If Bill does, okay, then who cares if anyone else gets it or digs it?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that should be the gold standard. And last time we talked a good amount about recording Space Camp at the time. You guys just put that out on vinyl. And if people are listening to this the day it comes out, we're actually doing this on the 16th anniversary of Lady Melody. If you're listening to this on June 1st. But we're gonna get into that, and I mean, I feel like most people would agree with this, and you can tell me as someone who's in the band. But I mean, Lady Melody, just such a total shift from Space Camp. Like, I feel like you guys had, like, I love it. Like, I mean, just listening, I love that record. But I've been listening more and more, as I've been getting ready for the interview, and it's like it's so hard to pinpoint one genre on Lady Melody. you guys basically made a record that I don't think sounds like anything else anyone else did. And I'm just like wondering, like in between Space Camp and Lady Melody, was there ever like a conscious effort, or was there a thing that like influenced you guys to kind of take it to that different sound? Or I mean, is that just what happens after four guys are playing together for so long? You know, is that like an organic kind of thing?
A big part of it, I think, is the organic progression of we started touring in earnest after Space Camp, and you're now living in a van with guys that you've grown up with, but you're listening to just the same records over and over, and you're out with bands who are going, oh, dude, you're getting turned on to so much more music. I mean, this is still, in essence, the pre-streaming, pre-kind of internet era where you're hoping someone in another band or something will kick you down a CD to listen to in the van for a couple of days, nonstop. But I think the biggest shift was some of the songs like Senior Year that ended up on Space Camp. We wrote when we were like 17 and 18 years old, and we just needed enough material for that first record for Kung Fu. So by the time we started working on Lady Melody, we're now 20, 21. We've been playing as a band for 6-7 years, depending on whose timetable you want to use. So we were a lot more prepared in that regard. We had some more time on the books in terms of playing. And while we were listening to like a lot of Lagwagon and a lot more sort of the Fat Era punk prior to Space Camp, we had gotten kind of like everyone did around 2001 and 2. We were listening to a lot of At the Drive-In and Jimmy Eat World and No Knife, huge influence. But we were also consciously trying not to sound like any band. And we were pretty hard on ourselves to, hey, that riff is cool, but it sounds just like the riff on whatever. Okay, cool, we can't use that. We really wanted to just do our own thing, and Bill was hugely supportive, and Joe Escalante at Kung Fu was beyond supportive. I mean, he's a punk rocker. He's kind of a pop punk guy, and we were bringing him the demos for Lady Melody, and they were a little more screamy, and the chords were a little more discordant and kind of darker stuff. He could have maybe pushed back with, yeah, that's cool, but, you know, why don't you lighten it up a bit and go tour with the Ataris or something? And he was 100% like, yeah, fuck it. Whatever you and Bill Stevenson come up with will be a good record, and go make the record you guys want to make. So all these years later, I still really owe Joe a debt of gratitude.
That's really cool. And I mean, I feel like it shines, like really, like I said, like how you can't pinpoint a genre on it. I really think you guys were very successful as that, is like not trying to be like something else. Cause I really can. I mean, you can hear influences in there. Like, okay, that makes sense. Like, you know, okay, listening like At the Drive-In or this and that, but it's not like you guys ever sounded like straight up like one band on there. Like I think the hybrid and the mesh of all those just worked so well. And do you remember the first song at all that you guys worked on for Lady Melody? Can you remember the first one that came out of that?
So the first 6, and God, I wish I could like phone a friend and call Art or something. The first 6 songs we demoed, we did with Gabe from Tsunami Bomb's dad.
Oh,
he
really?
had a pretty cool, yeah, he had a pretty cool studio, and we had been writing. So we did Catch and Release, She Looks Good, which didn't make it on the record, Segway, which didn't make it on the record, Lady Melody, and Miss Foreign Friendly, and Who Brings a Knife to a Gunfight. And what stands out to me about that is if I had to pick the songs that I liked least on that record, it's all those. So so Chris Martinez, who was working at Kung Fu at the time, sent that demo to Bill Stevenson, and he said, I kind of like it. This might be something I want to do, but have them write some more songs, and we'll see. So then we wrote Jesus is Alive and Well, Living in Mexico, and I think Lexington Queen and Hey Maria. And by the time Bill heard those, he was like, yeah, 100%. I have to do the record. I want to do it. And we hooked up.
Oh, so I mean, a lot of that then was, or at least even if they're like in the early stages, you had most of the songs written then by the time you got to the studio then. Because I'm like thinking about that. That's most of Lady Melody then, right?
Yeah. So by the time we hit pre-production, which Bill flew out, he stayed at my mom's house, and if you ask him, if you ever come across him, ask him about my mom's cooking. That was probably the highlight of doing Lady Melody for him.
Really?
Oh, dude, yeah. He loves Mexican food, and my mom, she's the real deal. So.
Oh, nice.
He had the legit article, but I've got the demos, and I've been trying to come up on a way to put them up on our YouTube or something. We had those songs about 95% dialed in. Bill, I know he can get involved with the songwriting, but I think we shaved maybe like a verse pass or something like that. There wasn't any real. It was kind of minor arrangement stuff. There wasn't any real co-writing involved. I think the last song that we had ready to go was Gypsy Queen. Because I still remember kind of writing the solo in the studio and hashing out some of the more noodly stuff and finding something that kind of worked. And let me see. God, what's song number 5? You think I would know this?
Ooh, what is? You know what? I have iTunes right here. I will tell you right now what track number 5 is because I can't remember. Did you say 3?
5.
Oh, 5. Oh, A Whole Lot of Weight. I couldn't remember the name
A Whole
either.
Lot of Weight. Bill probably had the biggest hand on that. It was more straight away, and then doing the staccato kind of crunching during the verses was all Bill and the clean tremolo guitar.
And then,
but we went to the studio pretty much ready to make the record, and I hope to get those demos up much sooner than later so people can kind of hear the early versions, and they're pretty close to what ended up on the record.
Oh, I feel like I can speak for anyone else who is a fan. I would absolutely love to hear those, the comparison and hear how they start out. That would definitely be cool. And how about for like Bill as a producer? I mean, like how is he as a producer? Is he on your ass when things aren't going right? Is he kind of more laid back? Like, what is it like working with Bill Stevenson? How does he get the best out of you?
Well, I know for us, one of the first punk bands we kind of collectively latched onto, being probably 12 years old, was Descendants, and Malo Goes to College. So at sort of a base level, when you work with someone with Bill who's written incredible songs and has been in Black Flag and Descendants and is, he's written some of the best punk songs ever. Anything he says carries so much weight, right?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
I think sometimes you work with producers that the label wanted them to, or half the band is like, hey, I like this guy, and the other half's like, yeah, whatever, I'm not impressed. You take the input maybe with a hint of skepticism, whereas whatever Bill had to say, we were like, yeah, you're absolutely right. The dude has an incredible ear. I know we did like an enhanced version for the CD where there was videos of us. That's my daughter. She wants to play Peppa Pig. But videos of us working, you can't slip anything by him. Like if you pull a note flat on the guitar, or when Art was burning out his voice every day because he'd have him sing a pass 10 times. And he's like, yeah, that's good, but not the one. And he would just kind of shake his head no. Like there would be no yelling. There was no like mind games of, hey, I'm going to get in your head and get you to draw out emotion. He was just like, no, you guys write killer songs. I love these songs. You guys can play your asses off. And he would just give you like a little nod, no. And that's when you knew like that's not the one. And conversely, when he nodded yes, 100% you knew like, okay, that's it. You can't do it any better.
I feel like that would definitely help, having a producer where, like you said, where all of you guys can respect him. So not like, you know what I mean? It's not like just one of you's like, I'm a fan of this guy, and the rest of you are like, yeah, like that's why I picked him. If you have that mutual respect, you definitely need that. And I like to hear that too, the bluntness of it, where it's like he's not going to screw it. He's just like, yeah, it's not very good, man. Like I feel like that's more helpful, But like comparing him to, like, I was wondering, you know, because working with Bill, who, I mean, at that point, I mean, he'd already been, I mean, obviously already decades of, you know, being Bill Stevenson, the drummer. But even at that point, I mean, the Blasting Room, he'd been doing that for like over a decade. So, I mean, comparing to like working with him and then working with like Trevor Keith of Face to Face on Space Camp, where that was like, you guys were like one of the first bands he worked with. Do you like, was Bill kind of more, do you feel like hands on and was more like he would tell you more what he wanted out of it than maybe Trevor, who was a little more new? You know what I mean? Like Trevor was a little more new to like talking to bands and giving direction. Like do you feel like Bill kind of had more of like, he could just tell you exactly what he wanted? He could be more blunt like that, you know?
Bill wanted us to make just, I mean, as weird as it sounds, he's in a band too. He's a musician. So, I mean, granted, Trevor is as well. He didn't really have an agenda for the record. It was just, hey, I've got 2 weeks. I love the songs. My job is to get your best version. I think a big difference with working at the Blasting Room is he and Jason Livermore, that's their home. Those dudes, at least in those days, they were there 7 days a week, I'd imagine all year.
Wow.
So once you get there, there is no experimentation. There is no, oh, hey, I haven't worked in this room. I haven't worked on this console. They know every piece of gear they've got, and they kind of have a system of how they're going to get the record done as quickly as they possibly can. They're highly, highly, highly efficient. I mean, even down to we fucking slept at the studio.
Oh,
you know,
nice.
Yeah, so you would wake up and be like, oh, shit, I think I hear bass being tracked. So you'd wake up and be like, yeah, it's bass time, or where's Art? Oh, he's burning out his voice again. In that regard, it's very different. Whereas when we did Space Camp, we did it at West Beach with Trevor, and I don't think he had done a record there yet. He maybe had done one, so it's not home base, you know?
Oh yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. That's another way where yeah, that would definitely help if you know like the ins and outs like that. And for like guitars on the record too, like for you, did you have like a main guitar and amp that you used on most of Lady Melody? Or I mean, did you kind of screw around? Did you kind of like from song to song use different you know, like amps and whatnot?
No, so Space Camp, we mixed it up, and I don't think I played my own guitar at all. I was using some of Trevor's and some of the studios. For Lady Melody, I used my, it was an American Strat with a Seymour Duncan, I think Little 59 in the bridge. And I used that all the way through with one of Bill's JCM, I think it was a 900.
Oh, nice.
But once we got our tone, and I'd imagine it's probably the same 900s that they tour with Descendants. That's it, dude. Once you're set up, like in that regard, Bill is, I mean, he's a punk rocker. I think Lady Melody has some elements of some other stuff, but he's like, no, fuck that. You get a guitar tone, plug in and play your songs. Like, we're not going for experimenting little nuances in tone. Any songs where I have less than a fully distorted guitar, like a Lady Melody or a Hey Maria, I was just turning the volume knobs halfway on my guitar. There's no like clean pedal, clean channel shit going on. It was, in that regard, it's a punk record. No wacky pedal board. I was plugging straight into the head and just playing.
That's really cool. Cause like, that's a lot, like that's an aggressive, like I love your guitar on that record. And it's like, it's so loud and massive and stuff that you would think there was so much more to it, and just plug and play, like go right into the head and go.
Total plug and play. It was odd coming back, talking about reuniting and touring. Like when we were playing shows and touring a lot, you would just plug into a tuning pedal and then plug into your head, and whatever your head sounded like, that was it. And now sort of punk bands and quasi punk bands within that universe have like 20 pedal boards. And not that I'm a good guitar player, but if you're shitty and your songs suck, none of that's going to fix it. Conversely, you know, the best punk songs are a minute 30 seconds, and those records sound like shit, yet they're the best, and people listen to them 30, 40 years later, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm totally with you. I mean, a phaser pedal isn't, if your song's shit, your phaser distortion pedal, that ain't going to change anything. Nothing is going to make that better.
Yeah, not a damn thing. But In terms of sonics, there is nothing on Lady Melody I would change. Not a thing. There's not an acoustic guitar I would have wanted to add or any amount of experimentation. The record kicks. I mean, I only put it on if I have time to listen to it start to finish because I really like it. I think it's a cool record.
Oh, definitely. And like when you were tracking guitar on there too, was there either like a solo or even just a riff that like was just kind of an ass kicker in the studio? You know what I mean? It just took a bunch of takes and for whatever reason it was just really tough to do. Did you have any of that on there?
Yeah, the whole record. I'm not a very good. Yeah, I'm not a very good guitar player. I think maybe a little more creative than I am an exceptional player. So I wrote these songs and came up with these kind of weird finger pattern things where I'm like, shit, now I've got to do this without pulling my guitar out of tune. And I've got Bill and Jason and their perfect hearing going, nope, you're pulling sharp. Nope, you're pulling sharp. Yeah, the whole record kind of kicked my ass. We're playing at the top of our limits. I find you play with bands and they write simple songs and then you're listening to soundcheck and these dudes can shred like, Steve Vai or something, but they play really, really simple music. Whereas Lady Melody, you're hearing all of us playing at the very top of our register. That's the heaviest, craziest Gabriel could play drums. That Tusto making his fingers bleed. You can hear Art basically singing himself flat and just to the bones, right? I mean, the dude was like spitting blood, basically. That's it. That's peak audio karate. We can't play any better. We weren't dumbing anything down for the sake of whatever reason a band might do it. We were really going kind of for all, for lack of better words.
No, that's is there a better word though? You were working with Bill. You have to go for all.
And that was kind of his thing. He was like, no, like I like these songs because they're kind of fucked up. And he said one thing that really stands out. He said for the bridge on Jesus Alive and Well, he's like, what you're playing on guitar is wrong. Like, it's wrong. That fundamentally kind of music nerds shouldn't work. But you guys are playing it with conviction in such a way where it just works.
That's amazing.
Yeah, which kind of stands out for me as like, okay, I think that's a compliment. Like, we're playing wrong, but it works. I'll take that.
I would take that as a compliment. I mean, I'm telling you too, like, you are if you don't feel like you're a good bass player, or not a good bass player, a good guitar player, you hide it well on that record. There's some great shit on there, man. Honestly, you do some neat things, and like for guitar too. I mean, because I feel like that might also go with part of your technique. Did you ever take lessons, or you just kind of teach yourself? Because I feel like a lot of people who end up having techniques like that kind of teach themselves, and you kind of make your own, like, you know what I mean? Like, you make your own kind of style. Like was that you, would you say?
Yeah, totally. I couldn't tell you what root, minor. I don't know the word for any of what I do and for any of what we do, and certainly what we were doing then.
You know what though? You don't. That just shows though. You don't need to. You can know all the theory in the world, but it doesn't matter. You need to be able to play. You know, you need to have feeling back there. I feel like you. I don't know. I feel like you did that very well on that record. Do you have a favorite song on that to play live? Is there a song on Lady Melody you enjoy playing the most?
I like playing Gypsy Queen the most because it's just really noodly and kind of flashy. That's a fun one. Jesus Alive and Well is a fun song to play because it's in my opinion an objectively pretty good song. It's got a good bridge, has a good intro, the verse and chorus are fantastic, and Art, I think that's some of the best like lyrics and just general songwriting Art did certainly around that time.
And then up until last year, you know, Lady Melody was obviously the last album you guys put out. But like we've been talking about, Malo finally came out last year on Wiretap Records. And there's songs that you had originally recorded, I know back originally in you said like 05, 06 or so. So like going through real quick, like how did that start? If you just want a real quick kind of rundown, like getting the studio and recording these, like when were these songs originally recorded? What were they originally to be used for?
So the plan was, I mean, if you can kind of mentally think back to the end of '04, early '05. You've got your Thursdays, your Thrice, your Ataris, your Rise Against, AFI. All those bands were putting out major label records, right? I mean, that was kind of the peak in my mind of most of your main stage Warped Tour bands were selling 500,000 to 1 million copies and kind of blowing up. So naively, we figured, well, we'll demo some songs and we'll see if we can get released from our contract from Kung Fu and shop them around. Luckily, we ended up doing kind of good demos, and based on how we write songs, they were basically complete songs anyway. They weren't just sort of scratch pad ideas. In retrospect, and you think to all those bands after, they all kind of ended up back on your larger indies, right?
Oh, yeah.
The contract we had with Kung Fu was ridiculous in retrospect. It was awesome. We would have gotten $40,000 to make Malo.
Oh, shit.
And then our fourth record would have been an option, which I'm sure Joe would have given us, and we would have gotten $100,000 to make that record. And it was starting to get cheaper, and we probably could have made it for 20, and then spent the 80,000 on Hyundais or something.
Some nice Hyundais. I like that. That is a pretty. That seems like a pretty good deal. Like that was. Yeah. That's a nice budget for recording.
Yeah, and it's totally different now. Like, I love Wiretap, and Rob's a fantastic dude, but Rob's not giving his band's money to make records, right? You come to Rob with a record, and if it's done and he likes it, and he thinks it's something he believes in and he's down with, then he'll put it out. But I don't know that anyone aside from much larger indies or your major labels are still giving people money to make records.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think I feel like most labels aren't. It's all just changed so much that I feel like that's the norm now,
Yeah, it's hey, make it in your bedroom, and everyone can make pretty damn good sounding records now. Maybe a little flat and a little polished, a little overcompressed for my blood. But yeah, people can make records at home that pass. I like what Bill does at the blasting room. It still sounds like a real band playing in a real room through real microphones, and not just a series of emulators and different shit like that.
Oh yeah, and when you found these songs, it would have been like 2 years ago now, right? You found them in 2018.
Yes.
So like when you found those songs, like how finished were they from what we hear? Like were there already song titles and whatnot with them, or did you have to kind of go back and fix them up a little before they were released?
So we're horrible about song titles, just as horrible as art is about song lyrics. I mean, there's no proper lyrics for any of the songs on Malo, right? Because half of it's just sort of phonetic James Brown gibberish that he was writing on the fly. Most of those songs, that's the first time he ever sang it.
Really?
Yeah. The parts were all there. I tweaked some arrangements. I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't chop out like a chorus or a verse here and there. But no, basically what you're hearing is the music was about 95% done. And I would have Art sing it 2 or 3 times front to back. And he would just kind of make up, almost like Jay-Z, kind of like a hip hop dude. You hear about these rappers who they don't have notebooks. They just start singing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he did for the songs on Malo. And I would get 2 or 3 really good takes. And what you're hearing is just the comping of those 2 or 3 good takes into sort of a coherent kind of vocal.
That's honestly impressive. That stuff, it kind of goes back to like what we were saying earlier about like recording in your house and most people can't tell. I would never think that was just a first take or that was just kind of on the fly like that. That's honestly amazing. I mean, it sounds like a final produced album. That's so crazy to me. And I love the album cover for it. It may be my like favorite Audio Karate album cover. Who did the artwork for that?
Well, that's because our other album covers are really bad. I think Lady Melody is like the worst album cover ever. But I've got a good story about that.
I would love to hear that.
Yeah, so Sergio Salcedo, he's from Mexico City, and I somehow came across him on Instagram, I was like, holy shit, this stuff is so cool. And one of the things we're kind of fortunate about is we're not a huge band by any stretch, but we've done some things, and certainly like the teenagers of yesterday that listened to us are now sort of working professionals in graphic design and different stuff like that. So I shot him a message like, hey, your stuff is really cool. We're doing a record. Could we use something? And I got a response like in 10 minutes, and he's like, yeah, whatever you want to do. So no, that artwork is sick. It's memorable, and it's bold, and it's unique. I dig it. Conversely, Lady Melody, that's the shittiest artwork ever. And the only reason why I think it's cool is because it's so shitty, and the record is by and large, people that like our band really, really like that record. It's just so bad though. Joe Escalante, we took him the record, and we're like, hey, the record's done. And he's like, yeah, I heard it. I really like it. Good job. You guys made a great record. It's like, what's up with this artwork? And then we had some stupid contrived, well, it's wood to show it's like organic. And I'll never forget, it's fucking direct quote. Joe says, yeah, how am I going to sell wood? and it's, yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's true. And again, you think about what artwork looked at the time, and your Thursdays of the world were putting out these kind of dark record covers with like sort of graffiti type stuff on it and dark themes, and it was kind of swoosh hair and that sort of era. And then here's this weird record with a white background and a bunch of panels of wood. But I think over time, it just adds to there's kind of no record like Lady Melody, right?
No, there's not.
It stands aside in someone's punk rock and kind of pop punk collection. So yeah, that artwork is shit. There's kind of no two ways about it. In retrospect, Joe probably should have just said, well, I'm taking executive action here, and we're going to give you a new album cover. And maybe we would have sold more records or something. But in retrospect, it's all right, I guess.
You were redeemed on Malo, though. That's such such great artwork. It's been redeemed. If nothing else, you guys reunited so you could put out a new album cover. Look at it that way,
Anything going forward will have good artwork. I'm confident on that. We were able to, with the singles. Yeah, sweetie. Hold on. Daddy will sit down in a second. With the single that we did for Bounce before Malo, remember the band The Sleepings? They were on Victory.
I've heard of them. I don't know any of their songs. I have heard that name before.
Okay. Good band. They were around sort of after we were doing our thing, and I kind of stopped listening to music. But Doug Robinson, their singer, has become a friend since, and he did the photo for that. And then a guy, Riley Herrera, who's in the band Night Verses, and they're just crazy good. So where I'm going with this is we now get to kind of pick and choose the artists that we work with. Chris Sherry, who does,
oh yeah, he just did those portraits.
Chris,
he's
he does
so
the
good.
Descendant stuff. He does the portraits. Yeah, so now we can hit up a Chris and be like, hey, can we commission something for a project? And it doesn't go into the void of the DMs. We actually get a response, and we get to work with some amazing people. So we'll have good artwork from now on.
That's awesome.
We're going to be putting something out maybe end of this year, early next year. So it'll have good artwork, I hope.
And I would say anyone now should go check out it. He was on your Instagram. Those portraits he did, Chris, those are so fucking cool. And anyone should go check those out. He did a great job on those for you guys.
Yeah, it's crazy that stuff takes them all of like 20 minutes too.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's stupid that he's just able to make these like, yeah, that totally looks like Gabriel. That looks like me. Like, and it's just a nothing. But I guess that's when you're really good, that's kind of what you're able to do.
Yeah, I guess
it
so.
doesn't take you 500 takes or whatever, like mediocre guitar players.
and outside of the songs that we heard on Malo, were there any other songs in those sessions that just weren't released? I mean, were there how many songs, I guess, did you find altogether?
So we have 3 more that we just got back from mastering. and one of them as kind of an homage to Lady Melody. So Emily M from she was formerly in Tsunami Bomb, so Agent M. Lady Melody, the song was loosely about her, not like in a romantic way, but like some of the lyrics about singing like a mom and all that. We toured with them, like 100+ shows, so we were always around. But she actually sang a duet with Art for one of the songs from the Malo era, where I sent it to her. I'm like, hey, it feels like it needs like a harmony and a backing vocal. Can you see if you could do something with it? And she killed it. So that's going to be one of the songs. And then there's a song called Care Carelessly that's pretty heavy on the piano, which I don't know if you listen to Indian School much, but you could kind of hear where things were going that way, even though I didn't play in that band.
So this almost sounds like if you were in Indian School then. It almost sounds like a version with you in it.
Yeah, kind of. It's basically like if take your sort of Indian School style songs, but put me back on the guitar.
Oh, I want to hear that.
Which I guess is what sort of makes it Audio Karate. I mean, 100% Art's voice is Audio Karate and makes us Audio Karate, but I think it only works if the four of us, and if any one of us isn't playing, sort of the chemistry is just not right to make Audio Karate music.
Nice. And I never thought of that. You guys really have never had a lineup change, have you? It's just been you four.
Yeah, pretty much. We had Mike from Rufio sit in a couple times, but even then, and he's a fantastic drummer. No one can kind of do what Gabe does, and no one can do what Justo does, and people can do a lot better than what I can do, but it's what fits Audio Karate. So, yeah, we've been fortunate that we either do it together and we do Audio Karate, or we don't, and that's kind of cool.
Nice. And, as we start, kind of closing up here, I did want to ask you, I know one of the last shows you guys played, I wish I could have been at, back in November, you guys played in Colorado at that 25th anniversary show for the Blasting Room. How did that end up going for you? Like, that was like in a really small club, right?
Yeah, it's probably got a 700 capacity venue, so I don't know, and I probably can't remember the last time Rise Against played somewhere that small.
It's probably been years.
Awesome. Yeah, it was a decade at least, right? That was awesome because we were Hagfish guys growing up. They got played on K-Rock back in LA, and we loved the Hagfish records. And I had seen all once, but I don't think the rest of the band had seen all. So to see them and Descendants and Rise Against and all these bands, it was stupid. Like, we felt completely out of place. So in terms of like, we felt out of place because it's like, hey, there's all these really, really good bands, and then Audio Karate, like, wait, what's going on there? But I think that's a testament to sort of Lady Melody and how Bill and the Blasting Room, they've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of records, but Lady Melody isn't the best selling by any stretch. It's probably one of the worst, but it's a special record, and Bill's proud of it, and Jason, and we're beyond proud of it. So I think that show kind of validated to us, like, hey, we really did make a good record and a special record, and it's still providing us with opportunities, and we're so happy that we were able to make it with the people that we did.
That's awesome. And I mean, that was like the last show you guys played, right? Did you play anything else after that?
No, that was it.
That was the last one?
That was after Fest. Yeah, and then this whole, everything with shutting down the venues has happened. And I've since moved to Oregon, so the rest of the guys are still down in Southern California, and I'm up here. So even once things open up, I think Audio Karate shows are going to be maybe few and far between. We might do a weekend or two here, but I think if you didn't catch us back in the day and you didn't catch us these last 2 years, you probably won't. I don't know.
Oh, really?
We want to do stuff, but it's just becoming increasingly difficult. I mean, hell, I can't have a 30-minute phone call with you without demands of playing Peppa Pig. So
No, it definitely sounds like you keep your hands full. And I mean, that seems like too, including it sounds like you guys do other things outside of the band too. I'm sure it's not like the number one priority that it may have been, when you're like 21 or whatever.
no, and I think that 100%, and that added to. There's no way we could ever make another record like A Lady Melody, where we were living, breathing, sleeping. All we were doing was audio karate. And we were basically together all the time. And while we're all friends now, there's a lot more history and a lot more kind of baggage that comes with it. But at the time, we were as tight musically and personally as we have ever been. And I think that we were able to capture that, and Bill was able to put that down on tape for us. And again, we're really fortunate about it. We're hoping to get it reissued on vinyl sometime soon. We've been talking to Kung Fu about that. So I think we'll do a small run, and I don't know, maybe we'll be jerks and just do a really, really small run, and the people that want it will get it, and then we'll never press it again or something.
And actually, that makes me happy, because I was going to ask you that too. If obviously Space Camp's on vinyl, Malo's on vinyl, it makes sense that Lady Melody may eventually get. I don't know, maybe you could do a deluxe edition and put those demos you were talking about, some of those rough ones. You do like a deluxe Lady Melody sometime. I think people would like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll hit them with 12 unlistenable versions of the Lady Melody songs. We do have one song, Segue, that was recorded in those sessions, and that didn't end up released on anything. She Looks Good ended up on some compilations, and stuff, but Segue's just kind of a different song, so maybe we could throw that on side B as a little extra bonus or something.
And revised artwork. You could re-release it with revised artwork if you'd like.
No, the art, think of it this way: like everyone who has a vinyl collection and all these vinyl heads, that gets to be the ugliest album cover. So that makes it special, right?
Why not?
Why would we change that?
You should put it out as a 7-inch box set, and each 7-inch is just one of those pieces of wood. Each cover is just a different wood panel. That's the ultimate collector's edition.
Yeah, it's like Hey Maria is on Douglas Fir, and Jesus is Alive and Well is on Pine. I don't know what we were thinking, dude. I really don't.
No, you know what though? The music's good. It kind of goes back to like we were talking about with pedals and stuff. It's like you can have the world's greatest looking album cover, but if the thing that's on the CD is bullshit, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't care how nice your cover looks. It's kind of the same thing like we were talking about with like gear and stuff. It's like you can throw all these extra things on, but if the initial product's not good, it ain't gonna work. I think that that attests to Lady Melody all this time later. 16 years later, that we're still talking about it. But as we're closing out here, you want to tell people like where can they find Audio Karate online? As far as vinyl goes too, I mean, is Space Camp and Malo still in press? Like, can people grab those on vinyl if they still want?
So Malo is currently out of press, but we found like 60 copies that we have from tour. So we're going to be putting up a website in the next week or so. So I would watch our Twitter and our Instagram. 'Cause there's 60 versions of that on a pretty cool, like, see-through kind of yellow beer color. And then after that, we have no plans to repress that for a while. You can pick up Space Camp at either Wiretap Records or Hidden Home Records at their websites. And those are those. You can find CD versions of Lady Melody on eBay for 99 cents. So you can have the really artwork, and you can have the if you still have a CD-ROM player, you could watch the deluxe videos and all that. Other than that, we can be found on Instagram at Audio Karate or on Twitter at The Audio Karate. And those are probably our most active accounts where that's where one can keep abreast of what we're doing. If I could share one more little thing about Lady Melody.
Oh, totally.
Into Please has just a gnarly vocal, and Art sang that in one take.
What? That's blowing
Start to
my mind.
finish.
All this shit he does in one take.
Yeah, no comp, no punch in. He was losing his voice, and we kind of saved that one for last. And it was basically a Hail Mary of like, hey, dude, if you blow your voice out, we probably won't finish the record, and we'll have to do something else. And he went in there, sucked it up, and sang the song once, and that's probably my favorite vocal performance on the record, because he just sounds so on the verge of losing it. And that's a fun one that we never play live, because I forgot how to play the guitar.
Well, nice. It's been great talk to you. It's cool. So it sounds like people can expect a little more from you guys, even if it's not shows. It doesn't sound like you're disappearing. At least, you're not gonna leave us for another decade or whatever. It sounds like we can expect a little more out of Audio Karate whenever this weird shit's over. Whenever things go back to normal, basically.
Yeah, no, and really, you probably don't want to see us live anyway. Not very good. They're really, really, really good live bands. Like we talked about Descendants and we talked about Rise Against. Those are bands you want to see live. If you happen to get a free ticket from a friend to see Audio Karate and have no other plans, yeah, okay, maybe worth checking out.
If you guys are playing across the street, if you're just kind of hanging out somewhere and they're playing across the street that night, we're worth going to check out.
And leave before the encore.
Oh,
Definitely
no.
leave before that.
Well, this has been a blast. We're gonna play a bunch of stuff off, really, I guess, just out of your whole career. We're gonna play something off everything. I'm gonna kick it off right now with one off Malo, and I want to ask you. I'm gonna start with Bounce, and Art's voice is insane on this. Is this one of those one take ones? Because he shreds on this thing.
Yeah, he sang that once, front to back, and again, no lyrics. It's just phonetic thing. I don't know. I guess that's how he writes his melodies and stuff, but yeah, he sang the song. I think he sang it twice maybe, and that's me chopping up two versions of it. And that was actually the first song we wrote that could have ended up on Lady Melody, but we couldn't write a song. I had that riff really early, and we never finished it until then. But yeah, that's Art. Just the dude could sing. He's definitely the real deal. He's a fantastic singer.
No, I love this one. I think if people have not heard it, they're gonna love it. This would probably be a really fun one to hear live too. So right now on the Power Chord Hour, we got some Audio Karate for you. Here is Bounce. Oh, I love that band so much. Right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast, that was Audio Karate with a whole lot of weight off Lady Melody. Before that was the opener off Lady Melody, Jesus is Alive and Well and Living in Mexico. I was laughing so hard about that part where Jason was talking about how like Bill was telling him, I think it was the bridge where he's like, what you're playing on guitar makes no sense, but it just works. Like I'm just laughing at that because I'm just like including like, I mean, I don't know that Bill's like this, but I took music theory in college, and I mean I definitely know people who music theory has ruined them, and things like that they can't get their head around, where they go like, even though it sounds good or it sounds really cool, like no, that just doesn't make sense. Like you can't do that. Like the rules of music, like you're breaking the rules of music. So yeah, I was laughing really hard at that. But opening up that block of music off Malo, you got to go check that out if you have not yet. I mean, I know Lady Melody's been out 16 years. You've had 16 years to check out Lady Melody. Malo's been out about a year now if you've not checked it out. But go check that out. That was Bounce off of that record. And seriously, probably the best art. No, I'm not going to say some of. That is their best artwork. That is really, really cool if you've never seen it. I am talking about Malo and not Lady Melody. That was so much fun. That was such a fun interview. I had so much fun talking to Jason, and afterwards he was very, very nice enough to say, hey man, you want to premiere an unreleased Audio Karate B-side from those Lady Melody sessions? And I said, of course. Yes, there's no question about it. Of course I do. So I got to hear this a few days earlier, and I love this thing. This is a great, great song, and I think you're all going to like it. Right now, I have a premiere for you, and it is an unreleased Lady Melody B-side. Here is Care Carelessly, another Audio Karate jam for you, right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast. Right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast, that was Audio Karate with an unreleased B-side from the Lady Melody sessions. That was Care Carelessly. I love that one. And Jason was definitely right. Kind of has that, like, a little bit of that Indian school vibes if Jason played guitar with them in that band. And yeah, really, really good. I hope you enjoy that. I don't know, but I think we can expect to hear that sometime on something. So probably not the last time you'll be hearing that song, but really, really good stuff. Care Carelessly right there from Audio Karate. And just want to thank Jason again for coming on and talking about basically everything. We talked about tons of stuff, and he was so much fun. He made me laugh my ass off. He just such a great guest. And, that's about it for this episode. Thank you so much for checking it out. I don't know next week, to be completely honest. I don't know if we have a guest or not yet. I am in the middle of some stuff, so maybe we'll have a guest, maybe not. But we'll definitely have a show for you next week either way. And we do have the radio show this Friday where, actually, if you want to listen, we'll be doing a 2-hour episode. And we'll be airing this interview, but I'm also going to be playing, I played a little Audio Karate on here, but I'm going to play I think the scientific term is a shit ton of Audio Karate. So we'll play this interview, play Care Carelessly again, and then just play you tons and tons of Audio Karate and a bunch of other like punk and alternative as well. Basically, more bands in the vein of Audio Karate, like just a 2-hour just punk fest. So if you want to tune into that this Friday at 10 Eastern on 107.9 WRFA in Jamestown, New York. And if you don't live in Jamestown, well, you can listen from anywhere. Just go on our website, WRFALP.com. You can stream the station there and listen from anywhere. We got listeners all over the world, not just for my program, but everyone else too. Really, really rad station. But you can check that out if you want, if you can't wait till next week for another podcast episode. And also stay connected with the show. We're at Power Chord Hour on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. I put up playlists each week of the stuff that I play on the radio show there, so you can check it out. Hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com. I literally have one Power Chord Hour t-shirt left, and I have some pins left. So if you want some pins, you want a shirt, it is size large, hit me up. They are absolutely free. I'll mail you one out. So, powerchordhour@gmail.com. And let me know what you think of the episode, too, if you enjoyed it, if you're an Audio Karate fan, or if I made you an Audio Karate fan. That's what I like hearing even more is people like, oh, I didn't really know this band, and then it's like, I heard you play their song or interview, someone from the band and became a fan. Like, that means so much. That's really rad. So I love hearing stuff like that. But it's going to be this week's episode. So for the Power Chord Hour podcast, I'm Anthony Merchant. Thanks for listening.